Okay. All right, we are on.
We are on. Welcome to WordStitch, everybody. I am Chloe,
And I'm Sandy.
and
And
I said all of that backwards. That's okay. How you doing today, Sandy?
I'm I'm tired. I'm good, but I'm tired. How are you?
Here, I too am tired, but that's just kind of the general state of me.
Hmm. So it's gonna be a little bit of a zany word stitch today, right? And if
Yeah,
you
yeah, because we're launching our new our new format, and by that
oh oh no,
I mean we're actually going to have a what?
you're freezing a little tiny bit, just a little.
No, I did. Oh, and look at that face of terror. Hi. For the viewers at home, there is a slight delay. So trust me, there was a moment where there was a face of terror, and I didn't see it until a little later. So there was going to be a weird delay. We're doing our new format today. So we are going to be dedicating this entire word stitch to outlining your plot. We will still be having our usual word sprints. But during our little talking bits, we will be exclusively talking about plotting or outlining the plot. So if you are here just to hear us talk about that, I think we'll put something in the notes to tell you where to skip to, so you don't have to just stare at a blank scene for a while.
Oh, that's a really good idea. We do follow
It
the
is. I just thought
schedule.
of that.
That was good, Chloe. We
Yeah.
do follow the schedule relatively well, at least as far as the word sprints go, because that is one thing we are really good at is getting in those words.
Yeah.
So we are legit gonna start our first word sprint at 4:05, and we don't have prompts today, mostly because I think for both of us this time of year we're doing less writing and more organizing and revising and such. So prompts aren't as necessary for us.
Is that what you're going to be doing today? Are you going to be organizing and revising?
Yeah, I think unless I get tired and decide I just need to work on fan fiction. But probably yes, I'm gonna be.
It's like the battle cry of writers right there. I'm gonna do it, or I might just write some stupid fanfic,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, some fluff, some smut, whatever it is that you want. But
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna be organizing, and that should
Okay.
be good.
Oh,
Um, uh,
frozen.
oh, that was odd. Um, I don't know if that was my computer or yours. We never know for sure when mine is gonna
Oh,
go
there's all
out.
kinds of weird stuff going on. I just had a weird flash of it. Whatever. All kinds of crooked now. It's okay. I need to go that way. Nope, I need to go that way. Excuse me. Hi. So you're going to be organizing. What are you organizing?
Sassafras too. I actually, speaking of outlining,
Excellent.
yeah, I did an enormous one today, like a great big gigantic one in Scrivener. So maybe I could actually show you guys that in a little bit.
I think that would be great for you to show us. But first, we're going to write for 10 minutes. Um, you might write. We'll see. But yeah, so it's 4:05. So let's go ahead and get our first sprint going now. And we will come back at a quarter after.
All right, good luck.
Woo! Sorry,
Okay.
a little delay there.
It's okay. There's always a delay with mine. Yeah. Okay. We are back. So my organizing has been so slow, but it's happening. I don't know. I just spent like that 10 minutes dropping files into folders. It's crazy.
I think that's kind of the point of today's session, though, right? Is how to do this. How to either avoid the mess that you're in right now, or how to handle this mess as cleanly as possible.
Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about plot structure.
Yeah. So how about I share my screen then?
Perfect.
Which is right now all you, but in a second it'll be all right, there we go. Hopefully we're sharing that screen.
There you go. Outlining 101.
Outlining 101. Okay, so this is I don't know, Chloe, do you use these kinds of structures yourself? So this is what I think of as like the classic story diagram, like that thing that, like, you know, when you do like stories 101, like if the teacher doesn't show you this, then they probably have no clue what they're talking about. Like that's how I think about this diagram.
Let me tell you how I feel about is this Freytag's pyramid? Am I naming this properly?
No, I have no idea.
I believe it is Freytag's pyramid. I have a degree in this. I should know this. It's okay. This is going to sound like a crazy conspiracy theory, but I firmly believe that the stories that we have to read in school are chosen because they fit Freytag's pyramid, and that actually stories never fit this. I hate this crap. No, my stories never fit this. Partially because I write romance, and so I feel like it's really absurdly hard with romance to distinguish between plot and subplot. But especially the climax, no pun at all intended here, but the climax of the action plot and the climax of the romantic plot never happen at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. So I have a different romance story diagram for that because I totally hear you, and I think that like romance stories kind of fit that because if you're looking at like what this is all about, right? It's sort of like setup, obstacles, climax, the end is your like basic plot structure. And I do feel like romance stories tend to fit that a little bit. Like there is a meetup, and then there's like a but we can't be together, and then there's a but we're gonna be together anyway, and then there's a but we're gonna be separated again, and then there's like love conquers all and is consummated. But I don't know, do your romance stories not fall into that? I feel like yours do. Oh, I don't think you see it.
Yes, to an extent. I always think that my story does until I actually try to apply like plot points to this, and then it always falls apart.
Where does it fall apart then for you?
Again, because I think that the climaxes don't meet up.
Yeah.
I think it's a really weird issue, like I said, particularly with romance, that like you got these two, like a good romance is going to have both a solid romantic arc and a solid, well, whatever other arc there is to it. And I feel like if you can match everything up to this, it's not, the story's not going to be a good story.
Yeah, you know what? So that might be a thing to think about when you're outlining. I think you have to decide just how complex you're going to make your story. Because you're right. If it's going to be like a love story, but you will also have some external conflict, like there's going to be, I don't know, some sort of thriller aspect or some sort of like cultural aspect or whatever. And it's not just like love versus miscommunication. um, or self-doubt, which are my personal favorite versions of the love story, then yeah, like you have other things to worry about. But I think a lot of love stories are like a little more simple. So when you're outlining, I do feel like you kind of have to decide ahead of time, like, just how complex is this? Like, am I going to have two of these little triangles? Or
Oh, well, and I think that like you kind of slipped in there how I feel exactly about these and like the purpose behind these, which is the same purpose that I feel like with grammar in general, and just the whole writing process and the rules behind it. Um, Free text pyramid, which I have now named this definitely that. I haven't Googled it. I've just decided that this is definitely what it is. I feel like it is a really useful tool when you're learning how to write. And then I guess if you are okay, this is going to sound like I'm shaming people or shaming authors. I'm not. If you're okay with having that very basic plot for all of your stories, it's probably really really good actually if you're trying to churn out a whole bunch. But like if you're okay with that and you are naturally a plotter, it probably is an easy way to go about it.
yeah, and I mean, you could also think about this at a broad level, right? Like, you don't have to make your entire story match that. And so my last one that this to me is the actually better plot organizer and the hero's journey. Like,
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
yeah, this is called like the mono myth or something like that. And to me, this is really good for any fantasy or like any sci-fi. So if you're not doing like a love story or a coming of age story, then and there's any adventure, then like the call to adventure, sort of like this refusal, meet the aid. I think I follow all of this, but yeah. I don't like, I think those are kind of beats, which we're going to talk about later. But I have to admit, like, I don't usually outline it like that. Like, it's not like I have a list of 12 things and I'm like, all right, and scene 12, we're going to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Because I don't know about you, Chloe, but for me, all of this aside, my outlines almost always revolve entirely around not this stuff, but around the characters and like who they are. So it'll be, yeah, I want that plot, but that plot only works if I know what character I'm throwing it at.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't I want to use these structures, but if I am plotting a story in advance, um I don't know. I feel like this goes into that category of like, do you start out with a theme or does the theme just kind of develop? My structure just kind of develops. So like I'll do an actual like outline, but I won't try to meet beats. But partially because I think beats are kind of a natural I don't know. This could be like me like not understanding how other writers work, but I feel like my stories just naturally hit the beats well enough.
No, I don't know. I think maybe we watch a lot of movies. We see this stuff over and over.
Yeah.
They're basics for a reason. I kind of agree with you. I always sort of feel weird when somebody says, well, I was having trouble with my stories, and then I started looking at these diagrams and I knew what was going wrong. Because I'm thinking, like, how did you miss that?
Yeah, I think these diagrams, again, we were talking about this before we started.
Mm-hmm.
I think these diagrams are actually like way more useful if you've already got a story written, if you've already got that first draft, and things are not going right in the editing of the first draft. We're not going to worry about that right this second, though, because we are going to do a 25-minute writing session right now. Let's see, share, ignore that it has already started as per usual. I do dumb things. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start now, and we will write until 50 past or 10 of, depending on how you want to call it. Okay.
All right. So, how are you doing with yours?
Good. Good. I just finished a scene. I am over 20K on it. This is my reader magnet, but I feel like I'm finishing up the sexy part, and then it's gonna get to like the action plot, and then it'll be done by next week. That's the fantasy I live in right now.
It could totally be done next week. You
It
just
could
have
be
to.
anything's possible. Yeah.
um, so we are supposed to be talking about how we outline this
Yeah.
time. You want to go first, Chloe?
I can try. So the thing with me is that I am not a very good outliner. I used to be a pantser, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I used to be a pantser. So when I first started planning, it was a little rough, and I am just now um starting to plot better. The only thing that I've plotted out so far is Bloodworth, which is what I wrote for Nano this past year. And I did it in a couple different attempts. So at the very beginning, I just made this outline. Um, that was actually like the timeline of events. Oh, excuse me, as I forget how to speak. It was a timeline of events that happened before. Um, this was a fantasy story, and there was like great big. This is meant to be like at least a 10 novel series. There's a lot of characters. So I kind of wrote a whole timeline of what had happened before the story began. It is just a standard outline. I had an absolutely horrific teacher for AP US History 20 years ago, who forced us to do all of our essays in outline format,
Ugh.
stupidly thinking that it would prevent me from padding my essays. It did not. um, but because of that, I am super neurotic about like actually making an outline be an outline. So this is absolutely regular standard outline format. Things like this right here wound my soul that there was only one point here, because the teacher would have strangled me for having something like that happen. But also my OCD meant that I could not possibly put that fact on the year 15 line. So I did that, and then I actually attempted to plot this story. I did pretty well with it. And I got all of this plot written out. A funny story about everything that's written out here is almost all of it is going to have to be gotten rid of. But like I did like this very neurotic, very particular outline of this. I did it for Nano 2 years ago, which infamously was the Nano where I wrote 50,000 words. And I only got this far into the plot, which doesn't even get me to like the second act. So this did not work for me. What did ultimately work for me, if I can switch, I'm just going to do a little switch over to a different screen. Sorry. There we go. What did work last year is I literally just went into Scrivener and made all of my scenes here in my binder. So I literally like wrote each scene, just like what the basic element of each scene was. And that helped me stay way better on track. You'll note that I have absolutely nothing in here marking anything as being like the climax, or the I guess inciting incident would be where I'd actually be in all of this. And if you know Scrivener, you can see that a bunch of these are blank because I've actually ultimately decided to merge the stuff from 2 years ago with the stuff from last year. But this was ultimately literally just writing like what each scene needs to be, is exactly what I needed to do the outline. And then I've got these little tabs of notes, which were just things that I had jotted down elsewhere, that I wanted to make sure that I included in the plot. But yeah, so that's the basics of how I do my outline. It is literally just a scene descriptions. Yeah.
You know, I'm I think pretty similar actually. Although I think we come from different places. I was traditionally an outliner.
I'm switching out of that.
Sure, sure. And I just oh, okay, the screen is working. I was traditionally an outliner, and then I couldn't get any of my stuff done. Like I would over outline, and so I sort of forced myself to be a pantser.
So like instead of outlining or instead of writing, you were outlining, or like because of how your outline was done, you had that same issue I did that you never got through your outline.
I not only would I never get through the outline, but I would spend all this time creating this gorgeous outline, right? And then I couldn't get past the first chapter. And I think that the problem is that I believed that if I had a great plot, then I would have a great story, and I was missing that, like, the story doesn't hinge as much on the plot as it does on the characters being authentic. So
Yes.
like, so for me, I can outline all I want, and if it doesn't work for the characters, then whatever. So like, so for Sassafras too, I currently have, so this is my book of Post-it notes, because I use kind of an index sort of thing. There are pages and pages of this. Like, there's a lot of these Post-it notes. It's a little ridiculous. I had to use an entire kitchen table to do it. But then I wrote the story, and it's so I can't, if I follow the outline exactly, I just don't end up with stuff I like. Yeah.
I do occasionally utilize out of control Post-it.
Yeah, well, and okay, so when it gets
that's a family history though. Anyways,
and when it gets to be too much, then I start I take my Post-its and I put them in Excel and color code them, so like it gets even worse. And then here, let's see if I can't actually stick this on the screen. This is what I'm working on right this second. So this is my current Sassafras outline.
Okay.
And it's like I wrote all these scenes and then had to go back and match them. Like I had the Post-its, I put them in Scrivener, and like, then it didn't all work.
Scrivener, like Scrivener is supposed to be used.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I because it's color coding. So yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I honestly think that like when you overdo it, it can all kind of go a little bit badly. And I actually kind of try hard not to be neurotic, because I think I would do that. I think otherwise I'm that person who does the entire freaking story in outline and never actually finishes the story. In this case, this story is pretty big, so it's yeah, man, I've got some problems with this. I've got way too much I'm trying to do, like way too much. I should split it into like 2 stories, and then maybe I'd have something that would make sense, but I have not yet.
That, like, if you can get the beats right, then you can do that.
It'd be hard.
You gotta like figure out how to split the plot up so that you do have some completion at the end of the second book.
Yeah, no, I honestly, you know what's going to happen with this one is I'm going to outline all that stuff, and then I'm still going to want additional scenes, and it's just going to be the 500-page book, but I'm self-publishing it, so it can be that. Damn it.
You absolutely can publish a 500-page book. But you just might not get that many readers. But that's okay. Because we're about to read for a half hour.
Yeah. All right. Let's do the writing thing.
So we are going to write until 1:30, and then when we come back, we are going to talk about beat sheets.
Yeah.
So go ahead and start now. I did that thing where I lost track of time again.
Not that much, not that much lost time. So you must be like heavy into your scenes.
I mean, don't say that because I'm writing porn right now.
Well, if you're not heavy into your scenes, then I mean, I'm just saying. I think if you're gonna do smut, you gotta do smut. Um,
Mostly, it's more the fact that we had I don't know, we've got like a 12-second delay right now, so I just thought I had a couple more seconds to deal with stuff that I didn't have.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to talk about beat sheets this
Beat
time.
sheet.
Yes, yes. Do you want to start? Do you want me to show the Scrivener sheet that you have beat sheets to show, don't you? Also.
Yes.
Okay, you go first then.
But what do you have for Scrivener?
I have a beat sheet template.
Which beat sheet?
A romance beat sheet.
Which one though? Okay, so here's the deal with beat sheets. So this is something that can be utilized for both like setting up your plot before you write, or it's something that also a lot of pantsers, so people who don't do any sort of outlining in advance, it's a good way for them to get that like word mess that they end up with when they write their rough draft, to get it into something usable. So the website, this is like one of those really good websites to get beat sheets from. I am clicking all the wrong buttons right now. Bear with me. Anyways, I'm just going to take us to Jamie Gold's site.
Okay. So I'm going to share your screen then. Yes. I love these. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jamie Gold has tons of beat sheets. The most common ones I've currently got Larry Brooks's up, and this is actually the one that I'm going to be using that I'll get to in a minute. The most common, I would say, the one that I hear authors refer to the most is Save the Cat. Save the Cat is based on a writing craft book. It's by Blake Snyder. It says all of that on the screen. So the way his beat sheet, and any beat sheet, this is kind of blurry and I'm sorry, but this is a beat sheet for Save the Cat. And if you, again, it's kind of hard to read, but you've got just a list of like things that you're supposed to hit as you go through your story. So actual like plot, not just plot points, but like different types of plot points. I'm sorry, I'm losing my words right now. To make sure that you have a structure that people are naturally going to want from their stories. So like the beginning is the opening image, which is like the before. It says in the description, it's the before snapshot. And what that's saying is that like when you start your story, the best place to start is like right before everything gets real exciting, so that your reader has a good idea of what the baseline is for your characters before things get weird for your characters. And then like the theme stated in this particular one, if you see, it says movie right here because Save the Cat is actually a screenwriting device that that fiction writers have taken over. But then you've got the setup, the catalyst, so forth and so on. And it's just like these are the things that no matter what type of story you're writing or what genre of film that you're writing your screenplay for, if you fit these, you should have like a solid script or like a solid plot. The other thing that's nice about these spreadsheets though is that there is pacing points on them where, again, this is all adapted from Save the Cat, where you have like what page these things should happen on, what's the range for these pages based on the word count that is your goal. So this is really great. especially if you have already gotten a rough draft and it's just like a hot mess with the plot. Like you see this and you know, like this is the amount of space that you really have to fit all of these elements into.
Yeah.
So that's basically
We
what a beat sheet is going to be.
we should
Do you have any anything that I missed in that drunken ramble just now?
So just one thing, because I'm not sure everybody would even be aware of this. So Save the Cat, if you might not be familiar with what this is, and essentially Save the Cat is a type of story where, like, in the initial like few scenes, somebody saves the cat. Your like protagonist saves the cat, or saves something, or does something like cute to show that they're a good person. And that's like outside of the plot. So it's like what hooks you on liking the character. And as you can see, it's a book. You can read lots about it.
That is, thank you for mentioning that, because I did miss that. Like Save the Cat is absolutely about beats, but you'll also hear people say, well, is there a Save the Cat moment? When somebody asks you if there's a Save the Cat moment, it means that your protagonist is not likable and that you need to do something to make your protagonist likable. That's also how, again, because I'm a romance writer, so I automatically go to this. That's also how you make your bad boy character
redeemable.
A hero. If he saves a damn cat.
Yeah.
So that's the basics of beat sheets. Now, so which style, do you know which style you have now for yours?
So the thing is, it's on your screen. So once I pull it up, it's going to take over yours. I don't know what it is, but I think it's one that I might have found on Jamie Gold's site. So
yeah, I'm wondering because there's a bunch of
see this well, here, okay, let me just pop it up real quick.
Yeah, pop it up, because people are just seeing me scroll through this crap right now.
yeah. So all right, so let's see, which one is this in the about, please.
That color coding.
Yeah, no, and that comes with this. Huh. Oh, here we go. Gwen Hayes made this one. But it's the same idea. She basically like this is a Scrivener template, and instead of having an Excel spreadsheet to show you like what it is that you need to be doing, she's put this into Scrivener. So like all your beats here for a romance are set up for you, and she's divided this into like 4 phases. So there's the setup and the falling in love and the retreating from love and then the fighting for love. And I love her color coding.
Yeah.
And it's
clever. I've never actually downloaded any of these before.
Yeah.
Again, I kind of have a hatred of Scrivener.
Well,
as much as I use it.
I mean, I think when used well, it can work. So like, you know, here she does. It
won't work until Excel is in it.
I think this is helpful. I like that she sort of says like so these are the things that you have to do. Now this is not as complicated as like what you were looking at, where you can see the word counts and such. But in Scrivener, let me see if I can show you how to do this. So I actually usually like I'll set up metadata for myself, and like sometimes it'll be things like a target word count. So in Scrivener you can actually like create a field and use it, but I obviously do not have one here, and I find that helpful because then at least you can, like, you have this little custom metadata area here. You can define a field, and I'll put in the word count myself. But so let me get back to yours, because I think you've got more to look at there. You said that some people use this after. I find it way more helpful before than after. Like, I feel like if I'm like retroactively fitting the beats to my story, then it is because my story has gone like awry and I need help.
Well, that was what I was saying, was that this is often used when you are in that scenario where like you've got like your story and it's just not coming together into anything that makes sense. So then you go to one of these. Because I feel like with beat sheets that like you're probably, if you're planning in advance, you're probably going to be going well beyond the beat sheet, so you might like utilize it, but it won't be like a primary aid.
I I don't know. I think that might just be how you've used them. I think there are a lot of people out there. I've done this.
Well, I base that on like everything that I see on like the Nano site and stuff like that.
Okay, okay.
This is based on anecdotal. I actually never use anything like this because I'm a rebel.
Ah,
I'm a rebel, and I don't.
You don't use
like,
these?
I showed you what I do.
Yes.
I already.
So
like that's the closest I get to any of this, because I, again, as I mentioned about Freytag's pyramid, I don't really believe in any of this. I'm just giving examples for people.
But I do believe in it.
Off of what I've heard rumors from other writers who claim to use such
things. You know, I mean,
but yeah, I've just like, especially like right now, because we are far enough out from Nano that people are picking up their stuff again. I've been seeing a lot of people right now on the Nano Facebook specifically say, oh, you know, now that I am editing, I am doing this, and here's either where my problem is, or here's the cool thing that happened because of it.
So I'm just saying, though, for anybody watching who's outlining and hasn't yet written their story, there are a lot of people who use these like to create outlines. So it's not just a revision tool. It can actually be used to help you write.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like most of the people who I know who are planners have like Bibles. Which that is an actual like industry term. Anybody who's new to the profession, planners have Bibles. I showed you one earlier. You know what? I don't have any video right now.
Oh, here, hang on.
That big pink binder that I pulled out, that I just magically pulled out of thin air because I knew Sandy was talking about Post-it notes. That's a Bible for me. So anyway, so what I do have, is there a way to make this bigger?
I think you can make it bigger with
like get rid of all of this. There we go. That little button right there. I'm smarter than this. There we go. That helps. Okay. So this is anyways just a little like a sample of a filled in beat sheet where I did have up on this page. Sorry, it's a little blurry, but this is what everything actually means in it. And this is the Larry Brooks story structure, which is a little bit different from Save the Cat. For the Larry Brooks, you've got 4 parts, but the 4th part is the resolution, and then like within each part, you've got different beats for it. So I went ahead and filled one out. It's not a great one. This is absolutely going back to something that is already written. In case anybody is noticing this, the log line for it is he's a cyborg, she's maybe crazy, also a lesbian. Go with it. So the nice thing with these being as spreadsheets, for the ones that have word counts, is that I was able to put in, this is actually just about what the word count is for the story. I was able to put 90,000 in for the word count, and it just automatically changed everything here. But so basically I just went in and filled in.
Are you showing this on your screen? Because we can only see the internet portion.
Well, I am. I probably am.
I think you're sharing a different screen than you think.
Sharing a different screen because this is exactly who I am as a person.
This is just technology. It happens.
Yeah. Excel, perfect. Share. This makes a lot
more sense.
There
we go.
There we go. She's a cyborg. She's maybe crazy, also a lesbian. 90,000 words. So here I've just gone in and filled in like what the actual scenes are that hit these points. So I've got my opening scene is actually 2 scenes. I've got the hook. I've got everything filled in on this. But basically it's just showing that I do have these elements for the story so that I know that if I am following Larry Brooks's story structure, that I have absolutely done that. And also if when I'm getting feedback from readers, they're saying that like things are dragging really weirdly in spots, or like things aren't filled out enough, I can go to the page or the word counts and get myself a good idea of why the pacing is off.
Yeah.
Because that's really what the beat sheets and particularly the word counts are good for, is keeping your pacing on track.
Yeah. That's a very nicely filled out beat sheet that you have there. I think we are running into our last
We
thing. We're
really
getting so
are.
excited about this.
Yeah, let me go ahead and switch over here to get our last
Okay.
10 minutes. We tried to keep things on track.
Why is why
Brave new world for us.
Brave New World?
Yeah. Okay, so there is the timer. I also have just like way too many things open right now because I've got GIMP open, which generates like 20 different tabs.
Whoa.
Okay, so go ahead and start, and we will see you at about 4 of the hour.
Yes, we are back.
Yeah. I just reached that special moment in any romance where she finally sees him naked for the first time, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with that thing. It's real big. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. See, why isn't there a beat sheet for that? You know? Like,
we could... the beat sheet would be like, don't be a lesbian trying to explain penises.
We could have the best beat sheet that we make for those scenes. It could be like a sex scene beat sheet. The things that you have to include. But we could never... I don't know if I could ever actually face anybody that I know in person again, ever.
You're right. That's what makes my blog famous right there, is that one beat sheet on...
Oh my gosh, you should do it.
No.
Yes, you should. You totally should.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because for some reason, all my sex scenes are like 10,000 words long, and I really need to like trim that down some.
I understand. I think that this could be a real market that you haven't tapped into.
Seriously, how long did Tara and Flynn have sex for the first time? Like, it didn't end. It never ended. They're still having sex for the first time today.
Huh. All right, you're right.
Yeah.
We may need to work on this. Okay, but for those of you watching, hopefully you've learned some cool stuff about outlining today, or at least we've given you like 80 bazillion ways to do it. You're welcome.
Or just like told you to go see Jamie Gold, because that site is
so damn good.
That.
Yeah, but I think like the big thing here, like the big lesson is sort of like there are a gazillion ways to do it. Find one that works for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's probably how writing is generally. I don't know. I don't know if there are any prescriptives. Just do what you can.
Right. Just
right.
Yeah.
And that is it. So what are we doing next week? Not outlining. We should talk pantsing. We should have
discussed this before this moment when we were in
public.
So we can either do like how to make your main characters super fantastic, or we can do setting stuff. I feel like we should still do like intro stuff. And I feel like that's character and setting.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, audience. So if you are watching, next week will be intro stuff still. Some topic like that.
We're just going to call this Intro February.
Intro February. And on that note, we should let everybody go.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.